Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. One of the most popular requests I get from subscribers is to expand on the Ninjago City or the Ninjago Docks. I personally think the Ninjago City is almost as perfect as you can go based on what the designers want to achieve. The Ninjago Docks, which is this set that you see in front of you, is a companion set to the Ninjago City, but there has been some criticism about the set as it's not as impressive and built up like the Ninjago City. And I do agree on that point. And I do feel that there are some areas where the Ninjago Docks can be improved. And one of the changes I made was to expand the dock behind the pier. So there's now more space in the landing behind the pier so that I can put small builds and minifigs. You can check out the expansion video in the link in the card above or in the description below. Besides expanding this area so there's more footprint to work with, I also think there's an opportunity to build up the Ninjago Docks buildings themselves, because this set is pretty low compared to the Ninjago City, which is towering at about 4 floors. And what I'm going to try to do is to expand this side of the Ninjago Docks vertically by integrating the Chinese New Year's Eve set into the build. The Chinese New Year's Eve dinner set is an exclusive to Asia Pacific, but luckily I've got 2 sets, so I can take one and integrate it to do these modifications for the Ninjago Docks. This is one of the MOC techniques that I like to apply, MOC being my own creations, and that means customizing your own Lego sets, and that is to combine sets. In this case, I will be combining these 2 sets, but I have to figure out how to modify this set so that it can fit seamlessly into the design of the Ninjago Docks. I'll be using mainly bricks from this set, but I do need to have some other bricks and plates, so I've prepared some here, and I will try to infuse this particular set into that while retaining the design essence of this particular set. I do not want to change things up too much as far as I can. I want to retain the essence of the build because I think that's the spirit of combining sets. It's to retain the essence of 2 original builds and put them together so you get a really unique and interesting MOC. The way I approach combinations or MOCs in general is to have an idea of what I want to do. I don't pre-build this in a digital designer, but of course that can be a very effective route if that is something you like to do. Personally, I like to come up with a general idea and have a rough design in mind. I'll then prepare parts. Now, I don't go about counting parts and figuring out exactly how many bricks or parts that I need in order to do the combination, but I'll get the parts that I think I'll need and I'll just grab a bunch and I'll start working from there. Because I personally like to just take parts and based on the idea I have and the direction that I've already thought of, I like to build from there. And then I would design along the way. For combinations, I do have something to work with, so it's not like building a MOC from scratch. For example, when you see all these window elements and the curtains, I would definitely try to retain this for the build. And if you look over here at the front entrance of this original build, I'm going to try to keep this as far as possible. For the front of one of the floors, maybe I could probably do one side like this and keep this footpath as well. So as far as possible, I do want to keep the look. So in terms of the external walls and windows, I would want to keep this and also some of these roof elements. So it is challenging because you have to figure out how to retain the essence of the design, but yet integrate it with another build that you already have existing. So that's where the challenge comes in, but it's something I do like to do. And if you're getting into MOCs yourself, I do suggest trying combining sets, as that's a good way to start. I won't suggest anything as complicated as this because this City Docks is a pretty advanced and complicated set. But start off with smaller sets and try to combine 2 smaller sets together to give you a brand new MOC or your own creation. I will be doing this video in 2 parts because I think I'll be creating 2 floors, so this video will focus on 1 floor. With that out of the way, let's get started. I should highlight there is a bit of inconsistency with this set. Ninjago, I think, is supposed to be modeled after Japanese because there are ninjas, but Master Wu is obviously Chinese, so you have a Kung Fu master teaching ninjas, which doesn't really make sense. So I think LEGO is messed up already. So to add to the mess that Ninjago is, I'll be putting this Chinese design into this Japanese style building. So we'll just call it Asian and never mention this ever again. So here's my plan for the expansion. I intend to increase this side of the docks by 2 stories. The reason why I chose this side is because there's an existing ladder which can build up vertically so that there's continuity. Over this side, there's a bit more of an asymmetrical design with the staircase going round up to the 2nd floor. Now, if I wanted to extend this side, I would have to figure out a staircase, which is probably difficult because of the lack of space, or I could put a ladder in. But since there's already a ladder on this side, I could reasonably just extend it over here. No point trying to do it on this side. The second reason is, at least for my setup in my LEGO city, the Ninjago city is actually set to the docks on this side. So I do not want it to actually hit any part of the extrusions from the Ninjago city. This side is pretty safe because there's nothing at the moment, so I can just build this up vertically. So the tricky thing is to maintain the facade on all sides of the Ninjago docks, and I have to take the parts from the Chinese New Year's Eve set and integrate it, but still maintain the facade, such as a balcony for at least 1 floor, and the general look and of course the proportions to fit with the Ninjago docks. So what I'm going to do is to remove 1 level and use this as a guide, because I'll be taking up the same footprint and then I'll be building upwards. For this build, I'm going to add 2 floors to the Ninjago docks, and I'm actually going to build the top floor first because I think it's going to look similar to this particular floor, at least in terms of this section over here. I will not have the balcony. I'll leave the balcony for the floor below it. So in this case, because I am using this particular set, so I'm just going to assume it's going to be an Asian restaurant. So at least that's my thoughts for now. So the first floor will be the main floor, where you'd have the reception and the main entrance, and the second floor can be an additional dining floor. So what I'm going to do first is to replicate this base. I may not have the exact same parts in the same colors, but I'll try to replicate this without a balcony, and I will replicate this particular railing floor as well as this particular ladder. But in this case, I will not have the air conditioning, or rather I will actually transfer this air conditioning to the top floor, because this will no longer be the top floor. This will be the 2nd floor of the original set, and then I'll be building 2 floors above it and using the same roof, although I may change the colors a bit so that it blends a bit better. But that's the idea. So I will later have to do some modifications over here so that there's continuity for the ladder and there isn't the air conditioner here, because we do need minifigs to be able to climb up all the way. But the first thing I'm going to do is to build a base. So what I've done here is to create a base, and this base would be just big enough to fit in alignment with the other building from the Ninjago docks. Now notice this is flush. I think this could be a bit boring, so what I'm going to do is try to add some texture over here. And I'm thinking this, remember, this is actually the topmost floor, so I will be building a 2nd floor over it. So what I think I would do is I'm going to put the roof tiling from the Chinese New Year's Eve dinner set on 3 sides, or at least 2 sides over here, because there's going to be a ladder over here. So maybe on 3 sides instead of this brick. So that gives symmetry to the build, at least from the original design, and I think it just gives more dimension to the Ninjago Docks set as well. So what I've done here is to create the base for the top floor. I had to take this out just to see how the connection would be. So just to get an idea, this particular ladder would be something like this for the top floor. And this would sit on the preceding level, like that. So you can see this mirrors this. I will have to rebuild this as well. And I chose to go with the black sloped pieces for the roof, what will look like the roof of the floor below. and of course to preserve the look of the original build. Now, just due to the nature of the build, normally when this was built, it's 2 studs in. This particular build, just because if you put it 2 studs in, it will look very odd when you put a base plate on it, because it's not a roof. It simulates a roof, but it's built onto the second floor. I had to extrude it out by 2 studs, but this means this is a bit loose because only 1 stud is being held in. It is very secure because it's sandwiched between plates, but what I'm going to do later is just to add some long plates over here just to secure it, so kind of like a boning or a support, but I'll do that later. What I want to do now is to build up this particular section, add in a door, and build up the rest of the floor. So here I've added that floor rail over here, replicating the same technique. I'm doing it in different colors because this is a different business. It is the Chinese restaurant, so I'm going to make it uniform within the restaurant itself, but different from the rest of the build. So what I've done is to add a layer of light tan tile, and that's because there is another layer over here, just necessary so that the door will be the right height for this railing. And the great thing is this light tan tile also matches the original light tan of the Chinese New Year's Eve dinner set. So now that I've done that, I can go ahead and integrate the door and the rest of the build. So I had to add another layer of brown plate here, 2 plates wide, and that's to accommodate the technique of the windows. This means that my interior space is going to be really tiny, but I won't worry about it for now. I'll just concentrate on the exterior of the build. So what I've done for now is to transplant this particular window over from the Chinese New Year's Eve dinner set to this floor of the Ninjago Docks. I think it fits well, the size is just right, and we do retain the look from the original set. But we'll still have to see how it goes. I'll continue building it up to see if it does indeed fit with the overall design and also the scale. So what I've done here is to build up the sides, and again I'm replicating the original look of the build. And I'm also integrating the ladder clip over here for the front, and I'm taking the measurements from the original build as well, and that's how I keep track. Now what I need to do is to continue building up, but to maintain the exterior facade of the Chinese set into this area. So I've finished the main build of this floor. I've tiled the top so it's ready to go with the roof, and I just have to add in the ladder. And here we have the extra floor completed with the roof in place. I think I'll change the door, and I'll also make some other changes after I put everything together. So let's place it back onto the Ninjago Docks and we'll see how it goes. So here we have completed the first stage of the expansion for the Ninjago Docks. I've added that top floor over there. I've made some changes which I'm going to go through right now. The first thing I did was to actually change the color of the ladder. I've decided to keep this ladder gray all the way so that it'll be uniform throughout. And what I did was to switch out the platform over here to light gray, and I made this light gray as well, so it will be uniform. This is the top floor of the new extension. You can see the side over here, and let me show you the other side, and I'll show you the changes I made as well. The main thing about this is I needed to keep the original design. I think this part is integral and this looks out, so I think it matches, and there's a bit of a symmetry between this wheel and this circle over here. This is slightly offset to one side, and that's necessary, and you see why when I open up inside. That's because of the internal curtain decoration, but I think it still fits and it works. Now I've decided I will not make this a Chinese restaurant because there's just no space. It's impossible to fit a dining area, a kitchen, even between 2 floors, because the area size on the inside is just so tiny. So I've decided to make one of it, probably the top floor, will be a fortune teller's office, and the next floor down below will be a Chinese takeout. So it's not really a restaurant, it's still an F&B establishment, but it'll be takeout, so people would just buy out of the counter. So this will be mainly the kitchen and the preparation area when I build it. Now I might even switch the positions of the various builds. I haven't decided yet, and I'm sure I'll know once I actually make the changes. I've added some of these decorations on the outside to be consistent with decorations for the Ninjago Docks, but this might change after I build the next floor. For now, assuming this is the fortune teller's office, I'll put this door on. I think that fits. So let's have a look inside right now. This new addition is modular in nature, just like all the floors, and assuming this is the top floor, this is basically how it looks like with the original Ninjago Docks roof. I think it works. I've decided to just keep this red because there is a bit of a hodgepodge of colors for the Ninjago City and the docks in general, so I think it fits, and this is kind of a red accent just like these decorations over here, so I think it fits. The roof comes off just like that. And on the inside, you can see the interior of what will be the fortune teller's office. This is the main window with the curtain, and it's a nice central backdrop as you come in through the main door. And that's the reason why this particular window is off center, and that's because of the thickness of this decoration over here. So it's just necessary, but as I mentioned, I think it works. This is how it looks like on the outside. I might change this, I haven't decided. I will decide after I build the other floor. This side, there's no windows simply because of how the Ninjago Docks is designed. This side is supposed to be against another building, whether it's the Ninjago City or a future set that might come out. And here we can see the detail for the front. This came from the original Chinese New Year's Eve dinner set. And this is the ladder I've added, as well as this little extension landing made of the rails as well. I hope you enjoyed this first stage of the expansion for the Ninjago Docks. What do you think? Do you think this works? Are we in the right direction? And do you like the idea of this top floor being a fortune teller's office? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you do not want to miss out the second part of this video series, do subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and check out these two videos before you go.